Chosen one. You are not hearing this by chance, and you did not arrive here by accident. Heaven has ordered this moment with precision, and the timing is not random. There is a divine appointment resting on this encounter, and your spirit was drawn here because God is speaking to you about what has been weighing your heart. Chosen one, the word released in Luke chapter 12, is not gentle advice. It is a command backed by authority. Do not worry, not about provision, not about the future, not about what you cannot control. The same God who feeds the ravens and clothes the lilies has already accounted for you, and heaven is not stressed about your life. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift where anxiety loses its grip and trust takes its place. Anointed one, this is more than comfort. This is alignment. When Jesus said to seek the kingdom of God and all these things would be added, he was revealing a transfer of responsibility. What you have been carrying is being lifted. What you have feared is being answered. What has been delayed is moving according to appointed time, just as it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. Chosen one, sometimes God does not reinforce his truth through louder words, explanations, or urgency. Sometimes what sustains you is something quiet, simple, and steady to return to when the noise rises again, and what has been prepared rests here in a calm and unforced way, waiting to be there when needed. Chosen one. There is a reason this word is landing with weight in your spirit right now. Jesus did not speak lightly when he said, "Do not worry." This was not a suggestion. This was not emotional comfort. This was a transfer of authority. In Luke chapter 12, Jesus exposed worry for what it truly is, not just fear, not just stress, but a silent struggle over who is carrying responsibility for your life. Anointed one, worry is not born from weakness. It is born from control. I know this personally. I have lived seasons where everything looked stable on the outside, yet my mind would run ahead into futures that had not happened, conversations that had not occurred, losses that had not arrived. I thought I was being responsible. In truth, I was trying to manage outcomes God never asked me to hold. And every time I did, peace slipped away. Chosen one, Jesus confronts worry head-on because he knows how easily the human heart drifts into self-reliance. We say God is sovereign, yet we live as if everything depends on our vigilance, our planning, our anxiety. But the moment life presents something we cannot control, the illusion collapses. That is where worry enters. It is the sound of a soul trying to sit on a throne it was never designed to occupy. There is grace here. Hear this clearly. Some battles with anxiety are born from trauma, loss, or wounds that require patience, healing, and support. Heaven is not condemning you. But for many, worry persists because trust has been fractured. And Jesus does not shame that fracture. He addresses it with truth. Chosen one, the word used for worry in this passage, carries the meaning of being divided, pulled apart, distracted internally. That is exactly what worry does. It fragments you. Your body is present, but your mind is somewhere else. Your hands are working, but your heart is bracing for disaster. You cannot fully receive what God is doing now because your thoughts are rehearsing what might happen later. I remember sitting at a table once, surrounded by provision, opportunity, and answered prayers, yet unable to taste any of it because my thoughts were consumed with what could go wrong next. That is the subtle cruelty of worry. It robs today while pretending to protect tomorrow. Jesus brings it back to something simple and confronting: food, clothing, the basics. He speaks to people who genuinely did not know where their next meal would come from, and yet he says, "Consider the ravens." Not because birds are impressive, but because they are free from anxious striving. They do not store, they do not hoard, they receive daily. Chosen one, this is not poetic imagery. It is a revelation of how heaven functions. Provision flows where trust replaces control. The ravens wake up expecting God to be faithful, not because they reasoned it out, but because that is the order of creation. Anxiety is not wisdom, it is disorder. Then Jesus says something that recalibrates everything. How much more valuable are you? That statement dismantles the lie beneath worry. Worry whispers that you are forgotten, overlooked, or carrying a burden alone. Jesus declares that you are seen, valued, and accounted for. Heaven has already calculated your needs. Anointed one, the lilies of the field do not strive to be clothed. They do not compete. They do not perform. They stand where they are planted, and God dresses them in beauty. When Jesus says even Solomon was not arrayed like these, he is exposing a truth many miss. Glory does not come from effort, it comes from alignment. In our time, worry wears different clothes. It is not will I eat, but what if I fail? It is not what will I wear, but what will people think? It is fear about the future, regret about the past, pressure about finances, health, relationships, and identity. I have wrestled with all of them. Many nights where sleep did not come because my mind refused to be still. And I learned something painful but freeing. Worry never prepared me, it only drained me. Chosen one, worry is a thief. It steals strength from today without adding anything to tomorrow. Jesus asks, who by worrying can add a single measure to their life? The answer is no one, not once, not ever. This is where the prophetic turn begins. Because when Jesus exposes worry, he is not just correcting behavior, he is inviting a transfer of responsibility, a transfer of weight, a transfer of care. Anointed one, heaven is intervening in this area of your life. The pressure you have been carrying was never meant to rest on your shoulders. The reason this message feels urgent is because God is interrupting a pattern. You are standing at a threshold where striving gives way to trust, where anxiety releases its grip, where alignment replaces effort. This is not passive surrender, this is active faith. It is choosing to step out of divided thinking and into single-hearted trust. It is choosing to believe that if God can sustain creation, he can sustain you. And as this shift happens, something else follows. When responsibility moves back to heaven, provision accelerates on earth. Chosen one, stay here. Let this truth settle. There is more unfolding. Chosen one. There is a holy interruption happening in your life, and heaven is not asking for your permission to move. When Jesus spoke of worry as a dividing force, he was revealing a spiritual truth few ever recognize. Worry fractures your authority. It scatters your focus, weakens your perception, and blinds you to what heaven is already orchestrating on your behalf. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can distract you. A divided mind cannot receive an undivided blessing. Anointed one, you have felt this division before. Times where part of you believed God, yet another part rehearsed every possible disaster. Times when your spirit sensed breakthrough, yet your thoughts clung to fear like a habit formed in dark seasons. I have walked through those same inner battles. I have felt that quiet war where faith and fear wrestle for the same territory, and every time heaven revealed the same truth. The battle was not about circumstances, it was about control. This is why Jesus invites his followers to consider creation, not observe casually, but consider deeply. The ravens are not anxious about survival, yet they survive. The lilies are not anxious about identity, yet they radiate beauty. These examples confront one of the greatest illusions in the human heart, the belief that worry is responsible, that fear is preparation, that anxiety is wisdom. It is none of these things. Worry is misplaced ownership. Chosen one, heaven is declaring something over you in this season. Release what does not belong to you. Release the outcomes you cannot shape. Release the timelines you cannot accelerate. Release the future you keep trying to mentally control. You were never meant to hold tomorrow. You are meant to walk with the one who already stands inside it. There was a time in my own life when I held tightly to every detail. I believed that if I just thought hard enough, planned long enough, or stressed thoroughly enough, I could prevent pain or secure blessing. But all that did was drain me, fragment me, and blind me to the provision already present. It took a near collapse, an emotional breaking point, for me to finally understand the truth. God cannot fill hands that refuse to empty themselves. Anointed one, this is what Jesus was teaching. Not to shame your worry, but to transfer its weight. When he says your Father knows what you need, he is not offering comfort. He is announcing a shift in responsibility. Heaven is not asking you to earn care. Heaven is asking you to trust it. This is where supernatural provision begins, not in striving, but in yielding. And something sacred happens when you yield. Your spirit settles, your perception sharpens. You begin to recognize patterns of divine timing that your worry once blurred. You see that the delays were protection. You see that the closed doors were redirection. You see that God was not ignoring you, he was aligning you. Chosen one, you are entering a season where alignment will bring acceleration. The very areas where worry once ruled will become the arenas of your greatest testimonies. Provision will rise where fear once lived. Peace will guard where anxiety once entered freely. And what felt like a battle will become a breakthrough. Pause here. Breathe. Heaven is still speaking. Chosen one. Now we step into the deeper question. What do you actually worry about? In the days of Jesus, the worries were simple but heavy. Food and clothing, survival, identity, future. Today, the language has changed, but the weight is the same. You worry about your purpose. You worry about your finances. You worry about who will stay, who will leave, who will stand with you, who will misunderstand you. You worry about tomorrow, and sometimes you worry about yesterday. Anointed one, worry often disguises itself as responsibility. But beneath the surface, it is always the same thing. Fear that God will not show up. Fear that you will be left on your own. Fear that you will not have enough, become enough, or recover enough. And yet, every testimony in your life contradicts that fear. Think about it. There were moments you thought you would break, but you didn't. Moments you thought you would lose everything, yet heaven preserved what mattered. Moments where there was no plan, but suddenly provision appeared. I have lived those miracles myself. Times when I had nothing but a prayer, yet God arranged what strategy never could. Times when every door shut, but the only door I needed swung open with ease no human could engineer. Chosen one, the enemy wants you to forget these moments because memory is a weapon. When you remember what God has done, worry loses its voice. When you recall the faithfulness of yesterday, the fear of tomorrow weakens. This is why Jesus uses the phrase, "How much more?" It is a prophetic scale of comparison. If God sustains creation, how much more will He sustain you? If He clothes the lilies, how much more will He clothe the one He formed with intention? If He provides for creatures driven by instinct, how much more will He provide for a heart shaped by His own Spirit? Anointed one, the standard of heaven has never been scarcity. The standard of heaven has always been abundance. But abundance does not flow through anxious minds. Abundance flows through surrendered hearts aligned with divine rhythm. This is why the spiritual wealth, the divine elevation, the supernatural transfer assigned to you cannot be accessed through worry. Worry interrupts what heaven is releasing. There are 7 modern worries that often plague the heart: fear of the future, regret of the past, money pressure, health anxiety, relationship uncertainty, job insecurity, and fear of opinions. You may recognize yourself in one of these, or in all of them. I have stood in those places. I have felt the sting of regret, the pressure of bills, the weight of expectations, the fear of disappointing others. And yet, every single time, heaven made a way that no amount of worry ever could. Chosen one, the things you fear most are often the places God is preparing to display His power. The areas you worry about the most are the areas heaven intends to transform. Anxiety is not a prophecy. It is a misinterpretation of what God is doing behind the scenes. You are not entering collapse. You are entering clarity. You are not approaching failure. You are approaching fulfillment. This is divine timing unfolding, not human fear confirming itself. Receive this truth. You are more cared for than you realize, more carried than you feel, more protected than you can see. Worry is losing its authority over you because heaven is reclaiming that territory. Chosen one, let this settle. There is more to reveal in the next part. Chosen one. There comes a point in every journey where the promise is no longer questioned, yet the weight becomes heavier than the revelation itself. Not because you doubt what God has spoken, but because your humanity grows tired under the weight of divine timing. This is the quiet stretch of the path, the part nobody posts about, the part where heaven is working underneath the surface while your soul is learning how to stand still without collapsing. Anointed one, there are seasons where you know you have heard God clearly, yet life remains unchanged in ways that feel almost intentional. You wake up with the same faith, but the landscape looks the same. You pray with the same conviction, yet the mountain does not move. And in those moments, the enemy whispers that stillness means abandonment, that waiting means rejection, that silence means the promise has expired. But deep down, your spirit knows better. You would not still be here if you were relying on emotion alone. Something deeper is holding you, something older than fear, stronger than fatigue, quieter than despair. I know this place. I have walked through months where I could feel breakthrough brushing against the edges of my life, yet nothing tangible had shifted. I went to work carrying prophetic words in my chest like burning coal, but the day unfolded as if heaven was silent. I washed dishes, paid bills, folded laundry, and wondered how ordinary life could coexist with extraordinary promise. And every time the Spirit reminded me that waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. Delay is not distance, it is deepening. Chosen one, the promise matures in the unseen. The fruit is forming long before the branch feels its weight. Destiny ripens in silence. Heaven builds slowly what it intends to sustain eternally. You are not being withheld from breakthrough. You are being rooted for it. There is a reason God often moves quietly before he moves suddenly. If everything changed all at once, the shift would overwhelm you. But when he strengthens you slowly, when he deepens your character, when he stabilizes your heart, the blessing that once would have crushed you becomes the blessing you can now carry without trembling. Anointed one, you have endured things in private that few know about. Nights where prayer was not eloquent but exhausted. Moments where you didn't ask for miracles, you simply asked to make it through the day. Times when you weren't seeking signs, you were seeking strength. And heaven saw it all. None of it was wasted. The waiting you resented has become the foundation that now holds the weight of what's coming. Waiting is not a passive season. Waiting is warfare. It is the fight to believe without evidence, to stand without applause, to trust without fresh reassurance. It is choosing to remain aligned with the promise, even when your emotions are misaligned with your circumstances. And this endurance does something holy. It refines your identity. It teaches you who you are without the promise in your hands, so that when it arrives, the promise does not become your identity. Chosen one, endurance is not loud. It does not shout. It does not demand to be seen. It sits in the ordinary, the repetitive, the unnoticed moments and says, I am still here. I still believe. I will not move. This is the faith that moves heaven, not the emotional surge, not the dramatic moment, but the daily returning. I have lived these returns myself. Days when the only prayer I prayed was, Lord, I'm still choosing you. And somehow that was enough. There is something sacred about returning to what God said, returning to the posture of surrender, returning to the quiet belief that you are cared for even when nothing looks secure. This is where transformation happens, not in the flash of revelation, but in the repetition of trust. Anointed one, you may not realize it, but you have been gaining spiritual endurance. Your spirit has grown heavier, steadier, quieter in strength. The panic that used to rise so easily does not rise the same way. The fear that once gripped you does not have the same reach. You no longer crumble the way you once did. That is the evidence of heaven's work within you, not the external blessing, but the internal becoming. And here is something I've learned in my own walk. Faith does not survive on constant explanations. It does not need a miracle every hour to stay alive. Many times, faith is steadied by something simple you can return to. A phrase, a promise, a quiet truth that anchors your spirit when the waves rise. And for the sake of your journey, I placed one such reminder gently in the description below. Chosen one, the delays have not disqualified you. The waiting has not weakened your promise. What God prepares in silence, he releases in power. The promise has not faded. It has been fortified. You are not behind. You are being aligned. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. Heaven has not overlooked you. Heaven has been overseeing you. Anointed one, your endurance is almost complete. Your posture is almost perfected. Your spirit is nearly calibrated for what is about to be entrusted to you. Breakthrough is not fragile. It is not uncertain. It is not slipping away. It is approaching with the same certainty as dawn. Chosen one, breathe. Stay here. The promise is still unfolding. Chosen one. There is a weight that settles on the heart when the journey has stretched longer than expected, a weight that does not come from unbelief, but from the slow erosion of human strength. You know the promise is true, you know God has spoken, and yet your soul feels the cost of carrying faith through seasons where nothing seems to confirm what heaven declared. This is the hidden fatigue of those who walk with destiny, the exhaustion that comes from holding on when letting go would feel easier. Anointed one, there are days when faith feels fierce and days when faith feels fragile. Times when you declare boldly and times when you whisper just to stay upright. Heaven does not shame you for this. Heaven understands the trembling of a heart that has believed for years without yet touching what it has seen in the Spirit. I have walked this road too, seasons where I woke up praying not for miracles, but for stamina. Seasons where the promise was not the battle, endurance was. There were mornings when I sat at the edge of my bed knowing God was faithful, yet wondering why the timeline felt so stretched. I would carry the same dream into another day at work, another round of bills, another unexpected setback. There were moments I felt almost foolish for believing something so big while living something so small. But every time doubt tried to rise, something steadier rose beneath it, the quiet truth that God had never failed me before. Chosen one. The waiting is not a test of your strength. It is a revelation of God's. When you reach the end of what you can carry, heaven takes the weight. When your faith feels thin, grace stretches around it. When your strength feels drained, divine endurance begins. You were never meant to sustain the journey alone. You were meant to be sustained through it. This is why the Spirit keeps drawing you back into remembrance. Not nostalgia, remembrance. Remembering the times provision appeared from nowhere. Remembering the moments peace arrived without reason. Remembering the doors that opened without strategy. Remembering the nights you thought you'd break, but morning came with mercy you cannot explain. This remembrance is not emotional. It is spiritual architecture. It rebuilds the places where worry once lived. Anointed one, the endurance forming within you is not ordinary resilience. It is spiritual infrastructure. It is the strength needed to carry the weight of the elevation coming. Heaven is not preparing you for a small shift. Heaven is preparing you for a divine transfer of peace, of authority, of clarity, of resources, of assignment. That kind of transfer demands a vessel that has learned how to stand through silence, not just celebration. This is why your waiting has felt holy and heavy at the same time. Heaven has been constructing something inside you, a steadiness, a maturity, a spiritual gravity. These qualities do not come from blessings, they come from believing when blessings are delayed. Chosen one, you have not been forgotten in the waiting. You have been fortified in it, and the season you are stepping into will reveal why the endurance was necessary. Some blessings arrive quickly, others arrive complete. Yours is the latter. Pause here, let your spirit breathe. Heaven is not finished speaking. Chosen one. There is a place in the journey where faith no longer looks like fire. It looks like consistency. where spiritual maturity is not measured by how loudly you believe, but how quietly you refuse to abandon hope. This is where heaven has been shaping you, not in the storms, but in the stillness, not in the breakthroughs, but in the spaces between them. Anointed One, you have walked through long stretches where nothing seemed to move, yet something in you kept returning to God. That return, that daily, steady turning toward Him, is where the deepest transformation happened. Not when you felt strong, but when you felt tired and returned anyway. Not when you saw signs, but when you saw nothing and believed anyway. That is the kind of faith that shifts atmospheres. I have lived that kind of return. Ordinary days where I washed dishes while praying under my breath. Quiet drives where the only thing I offered God was the tension I was carrying. Small moments where I didn't feel spiritual at all, yet somehow felt held. Breakthrough rarely announces itself. It grows in these quiet repetitions of trust. You have been practicing faith even when you didn't know you were practicing it. Chosen One, this is why heaven has marked you for supernatural transfer. Because you have not sought blessing as your foundation, you have sought God. You have been faithful in silence. You have remained when others would have run. You have surrendered control even when fear pushed you toward grasping for certainty. This is why heaven can trust you with what is coming. And hear this clearly. The next season of your life will not require the frantic energy of striving, but the steady posture you learned in waiting. God is not elevating you into chaos. He is elevating you into flow, a divine rhythm where provision meets purpose and peace governs your steps. You will not have to force doors open. They will open because your spirit is aligned with heaven's timing. Anointed One, your endurance has not gone unseen. The moments you held back tears in public, the nights you wondered if you could go another round, the prayers you whispered when hope felt thin, these were not moments of weakness. They were prophetic seeds being planted in unseen soil. And the harvest of those seeds is approaching with a swiftness that will redeem every year that felt lost. There is a truth that often reveals itself only after long seasons. Faith grows quieter as it grows deeper. The deepest assurance is seldom loud. It is steady. It is settled. It is the sense that God is with you even when the room feels empty. I have felt that quiet companionship in some of my hardest seasons. The awareness that I was not walking alone, even when solitude felt heavy. Chosen One, you have been walking with that same unseen companionship. And now the path ahead is beginning to brighten. The air around you is shifting. What once felt stagnant is beginning to move. What once felt delayed is aligning. What once felt resisted is loosening. This is not imagination. This is divine timing stepping into visibility, the transfer coming to you, whether in clarity, opportunity, resources, or restoration, is not random. It is not sudden to heaven, only sudden to you. Heaven has been aligning this moment long before you felt the weight of the weight. Chosen One, steady your heart. What is unfolding is holy. The next part will take you deeper. Chosen One. There is a moment in every divine journey when the atmosphere around you begins to shift before the breakthrough itself appears. You can feel it even now, something subtle but unmistakable, like the spiritual equivalent of air changing before rain. Nothing outward has transformed yet, but your spirit knows heaven is moving. This awareness is not imagination. It is discernment awakening. Anointed One, You have walked long enough with God to sense when something is nearing completion. Your dreams feel less distant. Your prayers feel heavier. Your discernment feels sharper. Your spirit has begun leaning forward without your permission. This is what happens when destiny draws close. Your inner world recognizes the arrival before your outer world catches up. I have known this sensation myself. Seasons where I could not explain the shift, but could feel it in the quiet. My sleep changed. My thoughts changed. My reactions softened. My fears loosened. It was as if heaven was wrapping up old chapters inside me, so the new one could arrive without resistance. You might be experiencing some of these same inner transitions. That is not emotional instability, it is spiritual preparation. Chosen one, when God is about to elevate you, He withdraws your appetite for what used to comfort you. He dismantles distractions gently. He softens your attachment to places you've outgrown. He creates a holy dissatisfaction with cycles that once felt tolerable. And though it feels confusing in the moment, it is mercy. Heaven refuses to let you settle into a version of life smaller than what you were created for. This is the part of the journey where many people misinterpret divine movement as personal restlessness. But what you are feeling is not the urge to escape. It is the call to rise. The promise is not approaching from the outside in. It is approaching from the inside out. Anointed one, the transfer assigned to your life, whether in purpose, position, resources, or authority, requires internal alignment first. Heaven elevates those whose inner world can now sustain the blessing. And you have reached that point. The endurance of the past season has refined you. The waiting has stabilized you. The disappointments have matured you. Even your private battles have become testimonies waiting for their appointed time. This next phase of your journey will not be defined by struggle, but by clarity. You will know what belongs to you and what doesn't. You will feel drawn to spaces that align with your calling and repelled by those that drain your spirit. Conversations will shift. Relationships will shift. Your priorities will sharpen. Heaven is not removing things to punish you. Heaven is removing what cannot carry the weight of where you are going. Chosen one, do not fear this holy rearranging. It is the sign that divine timing is converging around your life. You are being positioned, not pushed. You are being prepared, not pressured. What once felt delayed is now quietly accelerating. And this acceleration will reveal something profound. You were never waiting on the blessing. The blessing was waiting on your becoming. Pause your heart here. Let this settle deeply. The final part will speak into what happens when the promise finally arrives. Chosen one. When the promise arrives, it rarely announces itself with noise. Breakthrough often enters like dawn, soft, sure, undeniable. One moment the landscape looks unchanged, the next, light reveals what darkness kept hidden. That is how your next season will unfold, not chaotic, not desperate, not fragile, but steady, ordained, and unmistakably divine. Anointed one, heaven is not preparing you for a blessing you must chase. Heaven is preparing you for a blessing that will meet you where you are aligned. The divine transfer marked for your life is not something you force. It is something you step into because the season has finally matured. The door will not creak open. it will swing with the authority of something heaven has already signed. And when it happens, your spirit will recognize it instantly, not with shock, but with a kind of reverence, as if something inside you whispers, "This is what I was built for." I have walked into blessings like that, moments when God's timing wrapped around my life with such precision that every delay suddenly made sense. The disappointment, the detours, the silence, all of it became scaffolding for the promise I was stepping into. Chosen one, when your breakthrough arrives, it will not just change your circumstances, it will change your posture. You will step into rooms with a steadiness you did not have years ago. You will speak with the authority of someone who has wrestled with heaven and survived the waiting. You will carry peace into places that once triggered fear. You will make decisions not from panic, but from discernment. This is what alignment produces, not ego, but spiritual gravity. The blessing coming is not fragile. It will not slip away. It will not require you to beg for its stability. What heaven establishes, heaven sustains. You are not stepping into opportunity alone. You are stepping into a covenant moment, a fulfillment that was written over your life long before you felt the ache of waiting. Anointed one, when the transfer manifests, whether in provision, clarity, relationships, assignment, or calling, it will carry one signature: effortless alignment. Not ease without work, but flow without fear. You will know you have entered divine timing because striving will cease. Anxiety will loosen. The future will no longer feel like a cliff, but a path lit from ahead. And hear this deeply, you will not enter this season carrying the exhaustion of the last one. Heaven is not elevating you weary. Heaven is elevating you renewed. Strength is returning. Clarity is returning. Joy, the kind you haven't felt in years, is rising inside you even now. Chosen one, your life is about to cross from promise into fulfillment. You have been faithful in silence. You have endured without applause. You have surrendered without understanding. And heaven has seen it all. Now the season is turning. Lift your spirit gently. What is unfolding next will redeem every tear, every delay, every hidden battle, and every quiet prayer you thought God forgot. Heaven never forgot you. And now, anointed one, the fulfillment begins. Chosen one. As we close this moment, may your spirit feel the calm assurance that heaven has already gone before you. The God who spoke peace in Luke chapter 12 is still speaking peace over you now. Anointed one, the weight you carried into this message is not the weight you leave with. A supernatural transfer has already begun, moving quietly and steadily into the places where worry once lived, filling them with clarity, strength, and the stability of divine timing. You are not stepping into an uncertain future. You are stepping into your Kairos moment, the exact season heaven prepared for you long before you felt the first tremble of fear. Walk forward with the confidence of one who is seen, held, and carefully guided. Remain faithful, stay aligned, and keep your heart open for the peace that meets you in unexpected ways. If this message spoke to you, you may share or return to it whenever you need to realign your spirit. And remember, sometimes God's reminders come in quiet, practical ways, so I placed one small anchor for you below in the pinned comment. Chosen one, may peace surround you, may courage rise in you, and may the grace of God go ahead of every step you take. Amen.